Imagine for a moment a place where your mind is at peace, where distractions fall away, and where you can truly hear your own thoughts. In a world filled with noise, expectations, and constant social pressure, there's one powerful strategy that often gets overlooked: isolating yourself. Now, when I say isolate, I don't mean cutting yourself off from the world entirely. I mean creating space, intentional, purposeful space for your mind to grow, for your goals to become clearer, and for your true self to emerge. Isolation isn't about being alone for the sake of loneliness. It's about carving out the time and the mental clarity to focus on what truly matters. It's about stepping away from the noise of others' opinions and judgments and stepping into a space where your voice, your dreams, and your ambitions can thrive. Today I want to share with you the power of isolation, not as a form of retreat, but as a strategy for success, self-awareness, and unstoppable growth. Isolation allows you to clear your mind and focus on your personal goals without external distractions. In today's fast-paced world, where constant connectivity and relentless social engagement have become the norms, many people find it increasingly difficult to maintain mental clarity. Whether it's the constant barrage of the pressure to be socially active or the ever-present expectations of others, distractions are everywhere. We live in a world that is designed to pull us in every direction at once, and in the process we lose sight of what truly matters to us. But what if there was a way to reclaim control of our thoughts and refocus our energies? What if instead of seeking external validation or engagement, we chose to step back, retreat into solitude, and give ourselves the space to recalibrate? This is the essence of isolation, a conscious decision to remove ourselves from the noise of the world, to create room for reflection, growth, and focused effort toward our personal goals. When we talk about isolation in this context, we aren't referring to loneliness or social withdrawal. Instead, we are focusing on a deliberate and intentional separation from external influences. It's a space where we are free from the distractions of social media, daily conversations, the demands of work, and even the well-meaning advice or opinions of others. In isolation, you are given the gift of solitude, which can act as a powerful tool for mental clarity. By choosing to disconnect, you gain a clearer understanding of your thoughts and can more effectively evaluate your priorities. It is only in the absence of external noise that we can truly listen to our inner voice, the voice that tells us what we want, what we need, and what we are truly capable of achieving. Without that isolation, our minds are often cluttered with the expectations and judgments of others, leading us to chase goals that may not align with our true desires. The constant barrage of external stimuli we experience can make it incredibly difficult to focus on anything for an extended period of time. Our minds are constantly jumping from one thought to the next, usually influenced by external factors. We might start thinking about a project only to be interrupted by a text message, an email, or a social media notification. The result is a scattered, fragmented mind, one that is unable to concentrate deeply on any single task for a meaningful amount of time. This lack of focus can be particularly damaging when it comes to long-term personal goals, which often require sustained effort and deep thought to achieve. When we are bombarded with distractions, we cannot devote our full attention to the pursuit of those goals. In contrast, isolation offers an antidote to this overwhelming sense of distraction. By isolating yourself, you give your mind permission to slow down and breathe. You can move away from the noise of the world and take time to connect with your own thoughts and feelings. This mental space allows you to prioritize the things that truly matter. With less noise in your environment, it becomes easier to identify the path forward. and make decisions that align with your deepest desires and values. It is in this space of solitude that your personal goals can be refined and sharpened, free from the influence of external pressures or expectations. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions by what others think you should do, and instead you have the opportunity to focus solely on what is important to you. Another benefit of isolation is that it creates the opportunity for deep, uninterrupted thought. Many people, when faced with difficult decisions or when attempting to make progress on long-term goals, find that they can't think clearly. The constant distractions of modern life can make it challenging to think critically or to engage in the deep, reflective thought that is required for meaningful growth. In isolation, however, you can take the time to truly sit with your thoughts, free from interruptions. This space allows for mental clarity as you can process ideas, evaluate options, and engage in productive self-reflection. It's in these moments of solitude that breakthroughs happen. Moments when the mind, free from external noise, can make connections, spark creativity, and see new possibilities that weren't apparent before. The importance of self-reflection cannot be overstated when it comes to personal growth. Without the space for solitude, we often rely on external validation to determine our self-worth or progress. We may measure our success against the accomplishments of others, or we may feel compelled to follow the latest trend simply because everyone else is doing it. In isolation, however, we can begin to shift away from these external markers and focus inward. It is in this inward focus that we can truly evaluate our goals and motivations. By removing ourselves from the influence of others, we are able to develop a clearer sense of who we are, what we want, and how we want to get there. This sense of self-awareness becomes an invaluable asset when it comes to setting and achieving personal goals, as it allows us to make decisions that are in line with our authentic self rather than being shaped by external forces. Moreover, isolation offers us the opportunity to break away from the distractions of social comparison. In the age of social media, it has become all too easy to fall into the trap of comparing our lives to others. We scroll through our feeds and see people who seem to have it all: successful careers, thriving relationships, exciting adventures, and it can be easy to feel inadequate or fall into self-doubt. These comparisons can be paralyzing, especially when we are working toward our own goals. However, in isolation, we are free from the constant need to measure ourselves against others. We can stop looking outside and start looking within. By focusing on our own growth and progress without the distraction of comparison, we can begin to set goals that are meaningful and fulfilling on our own terms. We no longer feel pressured to keep up with others. Instead, we can focus on our own journey and the steps we need to take to move forward. Isolation also creates the opportunity for deep, uninterrupted work. Many of us struggle with productivity in an environment filled with distractions. Whether it's the constant ping of a smartphone, the hum of background noise, or the pressure to be socially available, it can be difficult to concentrate for extended periods of time. But when we isolate ourselves from these distractions, we create an environment conducive to deep, focused work without interruptions. We can dive fully into the tasks that matter most to us, making significant progress toward our goals. In isolation, the work becomes the primary focus, and the quality of that work improves as a result. The impact of isolation on mental clarity is particularly noticeable when we are in the midst of challenging situations or complex decisions. In these moments, it is easy to feel overwhelmed by the weight of external expectations or by the noise of competing voices. Isolation allows us to step back and gain a fresh perspective. When we remove ourselves from the clutter, we can approach challenges with a clear and open mind, free from the mental baggage that often clouds our judgment. In these moments of clarity, we can find new solutions to problems, make better decisions, and feel more confident in our choices. Through isolation, we also become better at understanding our true needs. Often we are so caught up in the expectations of others that we lose sight of what we truly need to feel fulfilled. When we isolate ourselves from the demands of society, we give ourselves the time and space to ask the difficult questions about what we really want in life. Do we want financial success, creative fulfillment, stronger relationships? We can discover what drives us at the core. This deeper understanding helps us set goals that are not just based on external markers of success, but on what truly resonates with our soul. In summary, isolation offers an invaluable opportunity to clear the mind and focus on what truly matters. By stepping away from the distractions of modern life, we create the mental space necessary to evaluate our priorities, set meaningful goals, and engage in deep, uninterrupted work. It is in this solitude that we gain clarity, self-awareness, and the ability to make decisions that align with our true selves. In a world filled with constant distractions and external pressures, isolation becomes a powerful tool for personal growth, self-discovery, and goal achievement. Through intentional isolation, you can connect with your true self, identify your strengths, and work on areas that need improvement. The world today is louder than ever, filled with distractions that pull our attention in multiple directions. With the constant flow of information, social pressures, and external expectations, it often becomes difficult to truly understand who we are, what we want, and where we are headed. We're constantly influenced by the opinions of others, whether through social media, conversation, or the expectations imposed on us by society, family, or colleagues. In these moments, it's easy to lose sight of our authentic selves. We end up chasing goals that are not entirely our own, or trying to meet standards that may not even align with our true values. But in isolation, there's an opportunity to rediscover who we are beneath the noise and to reflect on the aspects of our lives that require growth and improvement. Isolation offers a safe space to deeply examine ourselves, to better understand our strengths and weaknesses, and to chart a more authentic path forward. When we isolate ourselves intentionally, we take a step back from the constant bombardment of opinions and information. This break from the world allows our minds to quiet, giving us the mental space necessary for self-reflection. Without the influence of others, we can examine our thoughts, emotions, and experiences with clarity. The voices of family members, friends, and even strangers fade into the background, leaving only our inner voice, the one that can guide us toward understanding ourselves. We are free from the pressure to conform or to meet the expectations that others place on us. This solitude creates the conditions necessary for introspection, where we can ask ourselves important questions like, what are my values? What do I truly desire? What do I fear? What excites me? These questions, though simple, are the foundation of personal growth and are often drowned out by the noise of daily life. Isolation allows us the peace to hear the answers. One of the most powerful aspects of isolation is that it offers us the opportunity to identify our strengths. In a world that is constantly pushing us to do more and achieve more, we can easily overlook the areas in which we excel. We may be so busy trying to meet others' expectations that we fail to recognize the unique talents and qualities we possess. It is in isolation, when we are free from the judgment and comparison of others, that we can begin to see ourselves more clearly. This self-awareness is essential for growth because it allows us to focus on what we do well and how we can build upon those strengths. When we isolate ourselves, we remove the distractions that can distort our perception of our abilities. Instead of being influenced by the achievements of others or constantly comparing ourselves, we can take stock of our own successes and the qualities that have helped us reach those moments. Whether it's creativity, resilience, empathy, leadership, or any other strength, isolation provides the clarity to see these traits with fresh eyes. Furthermore, isolation allows us the space to nurture and enhance those strengths. Often we take our strengths for granted or assume that they will always be there, but without attention and cultivation, they can go untapped. Being in isolation gives us the time to invest in the development of those strengths, whether it's through reading, practicing, or engaging in activities that challenge us. Isolation helps us focus on honing our abilities without external distractions. The solitude allows for deep work that is deliberate and undisturbed by the demands of the outside world. During this time, we can push ourselves to explore our strengths more fully, experiment with new ways to apply them, and ultimately become more confident in them. This period of self-investment not only makes us more effective in the areas where we already shine, but also helps us realize just how much potential lies within us. While isolation offers the opportunity to connect with our strengths, it also provides the space to confront and work on areas of improvement. Often we avoid confronting our weaknesses because of fear, shame, or discomfort. We may fear judgment from others, or we may simply prefer to focus on the things that come easily to us, avoiding the difficult work of self-improvement. However, when we isolate ourselves, we create a safe and non-judgmental environment where we can be brutally honest with ourselves. In the silence of isolation, we can identify the areas in which we struggle and begin to address them without fear of failure or embarrassment. We are no longer concerned with how others perceive us or whether they might judge our shortcomings. Instead, we are focused solely on our own growth and development. Working on our weaknesses in isolation allows for a deeper understanding of where we fall short and why we do so. Often, weaknesses are rooted in deeper fears or insecurities. They may be the result of past experiences, limiting beliefs, or emotional blocks that have prevented us from reaching our full potential. In isolation, we can explore these underlying causes without distraction. We have the time to reflect on our past experiences, to understand how they have shaped our behavior, and to determine what changes need to be made. This kind of self-awareness is crucial for personal development because it helps us move beyond surface-level issues and dig into the root causes of our challenges. Moreover, isolation allows us to work on our weaknesses at our own pace. We don't have to worry about keeping up with others or comparing our progress to anyone else's. Personal growth is a deeply individual process, and isolation gives us the freedom to progress on our own timeline. We can set goals for ourselves, create a plan for improvement, and take small, deliberate steps toward those goals. In isolation, we are free from the pressure to perform for an audience or to meet external standards. We can focus on our personal journey, taking the time necessary to make meaningful progress without rushing or feeling overwhelmed. In addition, isolation helps us build resilience. Confronting our weaknesses is not an easy task, and it often involves discomfort, frustration, and setbacks. However, it is in the process of working through these challenges in solitude that we build the mental toughness needed to overcome obstacles. Without the distraction of external opinions or the influence of others, we learn to rely on our own inner strength to keep pushing forward. We learn to persevere through difficulties and to embrace failure as a learning opportunity rather than a source of shame. This resilience is key to personal growth because it allows us to continue improving even in the face of adversity. By spending time alone, we also develop a greater sense of self-compassion. When we are isolated, we are able to recognize that we are not perfect, and that's okay. We come to understand that personal growth is a lifelong journey, one that requires patience and understanding. Instead of beating ourselves up over our weaknesses, we learn to treat ourselves with kindness and encouragement. Isolation provides us with a space to be gentle with ourselves, to acknowledge our progress, and to celebrate our achievements, no matter how small they may seem. Through isolation, we are given the opportunity to step outside of the noise and distractions of everyday life and to focus on what truly matters, ourselves. It is in this solitude that we can connect with our true self, untainted by the influences of others. We can clearly see our strengths, nurture them, and work on the areas that need improvement. The time spent in isolation allows us to grow in ways that are often impossible when we are constantly surrounded by external distractions. By focusing inward, we learn to understand our own desires, fears, and motivations. We become more self-aware, more resilient, and ultimately more capable of living a life that is true to ourselves.